Autistic individuals often report feeling misunderstood by helping professionals and family members. Instead of thriving, many are merely surviving. For this to change, we need to reframe autism intervention. We need to embrace difference, take the client's lead, build on strengths while supporting needs, and appreciate how the body and brain use behaviors to manage surroundings. I'm Cindy Cathy, Business Development Manager at Pesi. I'd like to welcome you to our second annual Autism Symposium. We're so excited to have you here. Let me go through a few tips and tricks to help maximize your experience. The Attendee Hub will be your information center for the symposium. It's where you'll launch all the live and pre-recorded sessions. You'll also find information on how to become a certified.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. How is it going?
Good.
All right. Well, that's great. We have established that everything's going good. All right, let's take a 15-minute break.
Okay.
Yeah, our father, he's got a poster from our Neurodiversity and Faith event
Oh, cool.
in his room. And so it's like, who are you going to be talking to, for your episode?
Yeah.
Web series. And I said, well, actually, she's right there on the poster. Oh, goodness.
So just a brief overview of neurodiversity. I'm sure you've all been hearing about it throughout this symposium, that it's normal and acceptable and even advantageous for people to have brains that function differently from one another. So that's whether it's autism or ADHD or dyslexia or a host of other neurodiverse kinds of brains, that everyone has something to contribute, everyone, and we like to look at the differences as characteristics as opposed to defects.
This is, I know I mentioned to you, this is new, this is like a little over a year that I've been diagnosed with autism. So,
Yeah.
It was kind of like, I just felt like it was something I should do. I know that it's something I want to do. I've always known I wanted to talk to people about things like this as part of a career, but I didn't know that I would have an opportunity to do it so soon. So I figured, might as well. And
That's so great. I imagine to be, I guess, enveloped and embraced in that much acceptance. That's something that we get to experience that others really haven't, not to be too grim or too bleak, but it's a fact. I've talked about it before with some people, and some professionals say, you got it really lucky, and don't take that for granted. And so I don't. At no time do I take for granted that I can just get in an automobile, go to Dairy Queen, get something to eat, and just be free, and not have people saying, oh, that guy's weird. I mean, that comes up, and I suppose we can talk about that. The more people get to know me, they see the disorder I have,
Yeah.
It's like I have a wheelchair. They can't see it immediately. They have to talk to me. And then they're like, there's something. There's something.
Yeah. Yeah, before people would just be like, oh, that's just Hadlie. And so now it's like, oh, I have a name for it. That's just Hadlie.
And you're what age now?
19.
19.
So
Okay.
I was diagnosed at 18.
Okay. So that's quite a long time,
Yeah.
Some people, I've been told 30 months. And I was like, the child was diagnosed at 30 months. Wow.
Now, one of the really seminal thinkers in neurodiversity was Jim Sinclair, one of the first really public self-advocates. And what he said to parents is really important. I'd encourage you to read the whole thing. Just Google "Don't Mourn for Us" by Jim Sinclair, and it'll come up. It's endured about 30 years on the internet.
People just said, oh, that's John. That's just John.
Mm-hmm.
Not even considering that I didn't understand the world the way they did.
Yeah.
Really important advice for parents, and self-advocates are always happy to hear this perspective, in my experience, and we certainly need a place as parents to be ourselves.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Not the difficulties, but going through that, I suppose, experience of not really, what was that like for you, not understanding the world or not interpreting it the way typical people were?
At first it was, I didn't know that there was anything different. And then it was, I thought it was just anxiety and depression and OCD and things like that. And so it was a lot of just kind of hopelessness for a long time, because I was just like, well, why, what's going on? What's wrong with me? I had to keep reminding myself there's nothing wrong with me, you know, like there's got to be something. So then it was a relief when at first it wasn't a relief. At first it was, I couldn't quite figure out how to grapple with and figure it out, because at first once it got brought up that, well, maybe it's autism or Asperger's. I use those words interchangeably, and first it was okay, well, what does that mean? Why does there have to be something else? Can't I just, I didn't really understand what it was at first. And so it was a lot of, no, that's not what it is. I'm just me, as there's not a word for it. And then once I really understood what it was, then it was the relief of, okay, it's not me, it's my brain. And my brain is just, I see things differently. I have a cool unicorn brain, and it's not anything wrong with me. I've been called a unicorn before, so I just call myself a unicorn. Makes it better, I guess. So then,
okay.
Now it's relief. Now it's cool. I see things differently. I have like special powers of brain, and it's not anything wrong. So it was kind of a process. It took a while, but now it's good. And now I just, I notice things more. I notice like, I don't know, I sometimes, I don't know, associate colors with things like other people don't, or like, I'm like, oh no, that feels blue to me, instead of like, that feels like an emotion. Yeah, just little things I start noticing, like, oh, that's different, and oh, that's different, and now I know why.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much for talking about that.
Here's a question. When my friends call me and say, hey, let's do something fun on a Saturday night, don't you think it would be odd if I said to them, great, let's go find some kids and play with them?
Okay, so I brought up to you before college, right?
Uh-huh.
Like navigating or perhaps negotiating college.
Yeah.
Being atypical. Like, how's that?
First thing that was different is I started mid-year. I didn't start first semester for multiple different reasons. One, I wanted a bigger break between high school and college. I wasn't ready yet. And I wanted to really focus on mental health, physical health, getting like to the point where I knew I could continue college. I knew I wasn't going to have to stop. And also, like, when everybody starts college in the fall as freshmen, no one has any idea what they're doing. And so everyone's kind of wandering around clueless. And so I would end up like, when I get super stressed in a moment, I tend to, okay, what are other people doing? What do I need to do? What's the normal? And then I assess, okay, do I have to act that way? And so when I'm in a group of people who have no idea what they're doing, I get super stressed and I just freeze, and I have no idea. Like, I don't know, what am I supposed to say? How am I supposed to act?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Adults like to do adult things. If you're at a developmental capacity where you do adult things. You don't play with children. The reason why you play with children is, if they're your own children, you're helping them to develop. You do it because you love your child. Or if you're an adult involved in supporting children, young adults, even adults, you play because play is the work of childhood. Play is the way into supporting people on the developmental spectrum.
I think probably the hardest part was moving in, because I'm really close with my mom and my dogs. And so living in a different place was super stressful because I did not know what to expect. So my mom actually stayed with me the first night, which was really awesome. And so we were just like, I was too stressed. I'm like, Mom, you have to stay, which was perfect because she probably wouldn't have left anyway. She probably would have stayed even if I didn't want her to.
As Walt Disney will say, pictures are the most universal language ever. We know this. This research has been around since 1973. And I'm still amazed when I go into classrooms or in therapy rooms, and there's not a schedule. Like, okay, Now, look at this.
So just little things like that. I had to kind of just say, you know what, this is how I'm going to do it. It's not normal, but that's fine.
Great Facebook post. When we treat autistic children the way the world tells us to treat neurotypical children, they suffer. But I have never encountered a single human being of any age or neurotype who doesn't thrive when treated like an autistic person.
Hardest part was probably just there's people all around all the time. And I enjoy people in small doses. And so when you're living on a dorm and there's 25 people on the floor and everyone's always there, that was hard to navigate just because I get really tired after social interaction. And so I had to make sure that I remind myself, it's not my fault. There's nothing wrong with me. I just need extra rest. So those are some things, I guess, that were different about my college experience than other people.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
If normalizing means teaching conformity through repetition, training, and awards, then it's not good. Focusing on building the child's strengths and allowing them to understand themselves in the world to maximize their talents, good. And that's I'm paraphrasing Ripamonte.
There's a truck outside that's emptying a dumpster. And so it's on one side of this, I guess, lot that we've got here.
Yeah.
Can you hear any of it? Can you hear the beep, beep, beep?
No.
Oh, no. Okay. And then it's going to be coming to this side. And then they're going to be emptying the dumpster itself. I'm just kind of staring at it. Oh, I've got a camera filming. Hold on.
We hope you are ready to rethink autism intervention and connect the tools and knowledge you learn and unlearn to help your autistic clients thrive. On behalf of the Pesi team, we sincerely thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, Dr. Grandin. Thank you, Temple. This has been wonderful speaking with you. I'm trying to be more aware of my top-down thinking now. You're making me think, and I appreciate that.
The first step is being aware that different thinking exists. And you see, we'd sit in the job trailer and bash the suits. Now that I've learned more about how verbal thinking works, a lot of those suits would have been verbal. And you have a big business, you actually need a suit to help organize things. You see, and I'm going to be a little kinder now about bad-mouthing suits. But the first step is realizing different minds exist. And a lot of so-called normal people are mixtures. But on the autism spectrum, you'll get an extreme object visualizer like me, an extreme mathematician, or maybe an extreme verbal facts guy.